Hi guys, I'm back for another Rants video. One I've been meaning to do for a, a while now, but I just haven't gotten around to doing, and I got distracted by other things. So today I'm going to share my thoughts on seasons 3 and 4 of Young Justice. I did a childhood favorites for this part because I grew up watching the first two seasons, and then it got canceled, and so it got rebooted. I didn't find out about it until a good 2 years after, I think. And then I finally got around to going back and watching those earlier this year, and then, yeah, somehow I haven't made a review video for them yet. So we're going to start with Outsiders, the third season, and then talk about Phantoms, the fourth season. And spoiler warning ahead of time, as always, because I feel this show is very close to my heart. So I have many thoughts surrounding these seasons, and you've been warned at this point, considering both seasons have been out for a good year to 6 months, or however long it's been since the finale for season 4 came out. I'm not too worried about people not having watched it. So anyway, here we go. We're starting with Phantoms, season 3. Not my favorite. It wasn't really all that great. First of all, the animation was like so close to being right, but wasn't quite at the same quality. And I know that was a budget thing, so they couldn't really fix that. But it threw me off the entire season because it was just off enough that it was distracting. I got over it after the first couple episodes, but for the first little bit, it was a very distracting little thing that Anyway, besides that, what do I talk about first? Okay. The character work in this season wasn't that great compared to the other seasons. The other seasons we got they introduced characters, they developed the characters, we got backstories and all the fun stuff that goes with it, and just the character work was so good and it made us love the characters. And this one, the characters were like, all the new characters that they introduced were really bland and flat, and there wasn't a huge amount of character development happening, and backstories weren't exactly a thing, really. So they weren't there. They were kind of two-dimensional, which is really sad. It's two-dimensional. My pet peeve is two-dimensional characters in any kind of writing or format. It's just they annoy the heck out of me. But yeah, the concept for the characters was actually really interesting. Like, Geoforce has a cool power, and Halo is a very interesting idea for a character, but they didn't get the depth that they needed for me to actually love and get attached to the characters. And Forager was just, I don't give a crap about Forager. Like, yeah. He was annoying. The third person talking, and I get they're aliens, but it got really annoying. And I didn't really like Forager that much. So yeah, then those were like the three main new characters that they brought in. So though I didn't really like them at all. And yeah, there should have been way more character work put into them, but there wasn't, and so they fell flat. And another thing with Halo is where they put the most, like, diversity. So she explores being lesbian, bi, whatever. So that's unnecessary and weird. And then she also has that moment where she, like, questions her gender, which, I mean, she is the human embodiment of a supercomputer. So it's like, it sort of makes sense that she'd be like, okay, I don't really have a gender because I'm a computer. But it was unnecessary. And on top of it, she's the human embodiment of a mother box. So feminine name for it. They always refer to it as female. She is in a female body, and just by all accounts, as far as supercomputers are concerned, she's a female. And they don't do anything with that either. It's an offhanded comment that doesn't get addressed again. So you just have to question why they put it in there. Because one, as far as a computer is concerned, as much as a computer can have gender, she's a female. And it's just the unnecessary comments and things that happen with her character specifically is just, it made me not like her character. And it's like, I love the concept of her character, but what they did with the character itself made me not like her character. Just because she brings in all of the stuff that I don't want to see more of in cinema into the show. Like, we have enough of this crap, but she brings it in and makes me not like the character. It's like honestly, the season would have been, actually, there's a whole lot of things that needed to happen in order to make it a really good season, but not having her bring in all of the stuff that she did would have been huge and added way more. It would have been way better if she hadn't brought all of that crap in. That's what I'm trying to say. It was unnecessary and just made me not like her character as much when they brought all that crap in with her. Anyway, moving on from characters, because it's like I don't have any strong feelings towards any of these characters. I don't hate or love any of them. So we'll move on to plot. This was a very poorly paced and written out season. Like, they had conservatively, I think, 3 different plot lines that could have been an overarching plot of an entire season. And the way that they play it off with trailers and whatever, what little I saw when I found out that this was rebooted, was they played off season 3 as they are focusing on meta-human trafficking. And they do for like the first third or something of the season, is they're focusing on that and trying to take down human trafficking and the meta-human trafficking and all that stuff. And then they find Tara, who is Geoforce's sister, who, again, I don't give a crap about her. And then she's supposed to be this huge traitor and blah, blah, blah. And that, whatever, didn't give a crap about that storyline or her character arc or whatever was happening with her, because there was no build up with the characters. There was no reason for me to care. No reason for me to care. And so we start off with that. That was a super interesting plot. I wanted more of that plot. I wanted the entire season to be about meta-human trafficking and them trying to take it down and them trying to find a way to deal with it, because they're not going to completely take out meta-human trafficking in a single season. That's not how that works. But that would have been a way better season if they had just focused on that throughout the entire season and them figuring out a way to deal with it and locate the people that are doing it and take them out so that they're at least able to manage it. Whereas at the start of the season, it's completely all over, unhinged, because nobody really knows or cares about it at this point. So that would have been a way better overarching plot, and that's how they portray it in the first couple episodes and in the trailers that I saw. But no, we find Tara and then just drop the meta-human trafficking plotline altogether, and we're focusing on them building the outsiders and training these new recruits that they got in Markovia, or whatever the country is called. So we just don't address it anymore. There's one episode, I think, that they address it after that, and actually I think it's the last episode they address it, and it's the tail end of that might be like an episode. That, and then we have after they found Tara and they're starting that, and then we have that episode, and then we never address it again. And that last episode where they address it is probably my least favorite episode because it's so random and doesn't have any bearing on the rest of the plot. It's just sort of there, and it's not a great episode in my opinion. So it's really sad. And then we're focusing on the Outsiders, and we don't give a crap about meta-human trafficking anymore. And, like, the Outsiders as an idea is really cool. Like, a public face for the Young Justice team. And it's like Junior Justice League, basically. And that's a cool idea. And yes, I get that, and that's cool, and they could have brought it in. And, like, them using that and, like, to deal with the meta-human trafficking or raise awareness for meta-human trafficking. That would have been cool, but no, we just dropped the meta-human trafficking altogether, focus on that, and they start having to fight aliens of some kind that just show up, and I'm pretty sure they just disappear once they fight them off and then are just gone. I don't remember if they actually tie into last little plot thing that happens. Pretty sure it's just... Wait, I think it was a ship from the Reach, the aliens from season 2, got activated by someone and was attacking, so then they had to take it out. That, if I'm remembering right, that's what happened. And so it's just... Okay, they're doing their own thing all together. And then, as if two completely different plots that we aren't going to talk about together at all is enough, we have a third plot line. It's Dark Side. We've spent like over two-thirds of the season talking about meta-human trafficking and the Outsiders team, and then all of a sudden for the last 3 to 4 episodes of the season we're going to talk about Dark Side. There has been no lead up to this. There have been very little implications that he even exists at this point, and then he's just there, or he himself is not there. It's like his henchmen, but anyway, same difference. It's like suddenly Dark Side is a thing and is the big bad of this, apparently, of the season. And it takes them... Okay. We're gonna do this. One episode, we find out about his henchman that's been undercover with Garfield's studio or whatever. That's another thing. Before I get into the Dark Side thing, Garfield Logan annoyed me so much in this season. I couldn't do it with him. Like the TV movie star version of Beast Boy, I couldn't do it. He annoyed me more than anything. You ever have a character that in a show that you just want to punch through the screen? That was Garfield for season 3. Every time one of his meta-human trafficking awareness commercials popped up, and he's just... And it's nothing I get. I get that why they're in there. They were a little out of nowhere and kind of weird transitions, but I understand why they're in there, and it was cool. But him on his TV version of him, he annoyed me. So anyway, one of the people in his studio team, whatever, is revealed as one of Darkseid's henchmen. That's one episode where they investigate that, and they figure it out. All that. One episode. The next episode, the henchman lady figures out the doomsday equation. That thing that destroys planets that Darkseid has spent basically his entire life searching for? One episode, she figures it out, and it just... And by the end of the episode, she's activated it. So in the middle of space, she activates the doomsday equation. So they're dying. They go to try and stop her, and they're basically just dying. And then in the next episode, they defeat him. 3 episodes for a dark side plotline. No. If you're gonna bring Darkseid into a season, he needs to be the overarching villain. You need to be referencing him from the beginning and implications of his coming. Like, they're trying to stop it before he actually gets there, or they're trying to. They know his spies are out there, and they're trying to stop them from getting the Doomsday Equation and trying keep them from figuring it out. That should be the season. The season should not be metahuman trafficking, Outsiders team, 3 episodes of Darkseid. No, that's not how that should go. And if you're gonna bring in the Doomsday Equation and stuff, actually bring in Darkseid. Don't bring in his henchman. His weird grandmother, whatever, henchman. Whatever the heck that lady was. Oh, that's not even the worst part. The worst part is that that's not even the season finale. They stop Darkseid, and there's an episode after that that's supposed to be the big finale. And it's, stakes-wise and all that, it's way lower than facing Darkseid and the Doomsday Equation. It's just stopping Geoforce's evil uncle, who they find out murdered his parents, which happened in the first episode, and we haven't referenced it really, except that Geoforce is there for the entire season. So it's hey, he actually murdered your parents and took over. He's actually a metahuman, which he's been blasting and persecuting and stuff this entire time. And then we have Geoforce turning on everyone and taking over Markovia and making it a safe place, a refuge, basically, for metahumans, and kind of just going opposite of his uncle and basically persecuting normal people. So, instead of Darkseid and the Doomsday Equation and the end of the universe as the season finale, we have Geoforce killing his uncle and taking over Markovia. Yeah. No. The plots didn't connect or work. The stories didn't intertwine the way they should in a season, which is really sad, because they had some interesting stories. Like the metahuman trafficking, yes. More of that. The Outsiders, yeah, bring them in. They don't have to be the focus of the plot, but they can be involved in the plot. And Darkseid, yes, he's a huge big bad. Make him the focus of the entire season, not just 3 episodes. Yeah, I couldn't with the plot of it, because it was so choppy. That was the real problem with it, was choppy. It's this is a thing, drop that. This is a thing, drop that. Here's a thing. And that's how that was paced and laid out, and it was super sad. Because all of these returning characters from the last 2 seasons, we love those characters, and they did them dirty. Also, Aqualad's bi now for some reason. For no reason, really. For no reason besides diversity. Yeah. Whatever. Whatever. I don't honestly like Aqua that much as Aquaman. I really don't like this version of him. Just overall. Wasn't as cool as Aqualad in the first 2 seasons. But anyway, Oracle was cool. Oracle was cool in this season. And was it season 3 that they show the backstory of how that happened? Or is that season 4 when they have the episode focused on Orphan? I think it's in season 4. Maybe. If I'm wrong, just comment it. But that was a really cool backstory and a really cool gory scene. That's actually something I appreciate. Is because they canceled the show and then brought it back, they figured the audience that's actually going to watch it is like older now. So they didn't hold back from the gore and the blood. So it's like realistically they get sliced and there's blood splatters. Someone gets decapitated. Oh, I gotta talk about that episode. But they just don't hold back from the gore anymore because all the audience that watched it when it first came out is now older and they don't have to shy away from it anymore. But one episode that I actually really liked in the 3rd season had no bearing on any of the plot lines that were happening. Any of them. It was just one of the random, like, filler ones. But it was actually done well. Because it's Ocean Master. He's got kicked out of the light. And so to get back at them, he's going to do their, like, fail-safe plan. Like, this is last resort, which is the Injustice Protocol. Where they just murder all of the Justice League's children. It's horrible, but it's amazing. And you just keep getting flashes because they're all gathered, like, basically at a superhero daycare at one of, it's Iris's house. It's Iris Allen's house. So all of the kids are gathered in one spot, just to hang out for the day. And so we're going back and forth between all of these superhero kids in one house and then across the street where Ocean Master is just sitting there getting ready to take them all out. Because if you know anything about the Injustice storyline in the DC Comics, where Superman loses Lois and his son and just loses it and takes over the Earth, and it's so cool. And this would be happening to every single hero in the Justice League. Granted, they'd all react a bit differently. They all have different reactions, but still, just... I loved it. And then we have the light sending Lady Shiva to stop him from doing this, because they know that if they murder all the heroes' children, yes, they'll be heartbroken, but that just means they will hold nothing back to just pulverize the light and just destroy them utterly. So it's like, okay, this is like the last of the last resort, and we can't let you do this because they will hunt us down and just slaughter us. And so Lady Shiva just comes in and decapitates Ocean Master, and it's great. Okay, that's season 3. It wasn't great. It probably ranks lowest on all of the seasons. Season 3 is down here, and all the other ones are like up here. Anyway, season 4. I loved season 4. It was actually fantastic. I loved the magic lore that we got. I loved the going to Mars and seeing all of the Martians and their culture, and the bigotry that happens between white and green Martians, and like their what's the word I'm trying to think of? They're like traditions for marriage and I am a world building nut. I love lore. I love world building. I love the character development that happens and things. I am very much just, if structurally a story is amazing, it can make up for a bad, like, plot. If, like, the characters, the world, and the culture and all that stuff is really good, I can potentially I could probably get past a bad plot line. But if, like, the characters and stuff aren't there, it has to be a very good storyline to keep me enthralled if the characters and the world and stuff aren't there. So, yes, I am a complete nerd when it comes to all of that. And seeing all of that for Mars was amazing. I love it. I love it so much. And on top of that, this is by far my favorite look for Miss Martian. Because in the, season 1, we have her green skin and her long hair. Season 2, she keeps the green skin, but has the shorter hair. Season 3, she's an aberration where she's white and bald and has the weird fleshed eyebrows, Martian Manhunter's head on her body, which doesn't work. And she's white. And it looks gross, honestly. It's like, yay, she's accepting that she's a white Martian, but you look gross. You can't pull off bald, McGann, sorry. But in the 4th season, she keeps the white skin, with her normal face, not weird flesh eyebrow or whatever the heck those are, has, like, the cool brown white Martian eyes, but has her season 1 hair. And I love the look so much. I love the look so much. And this is my favorite look for her of all time. I love it. And yes, that entire arc is great. Because you have, again, all the culture, all the lore, all the fun stuff. We get to meet other colors of Martian, because there's, like, yellow, which are the spiritual leaders, and then red, which are the, like, leaders. Like, political leaders. That's the word I'm looking for. Like, the political leaders. And also meeting Megan's family. Or some of them. Her parents and one of her sisters. And her evil psychopath brother. So all the fun stuff. And then, of course, on top of that, Cutter just straight up dies. Well, in quotes, because he doesn't actually die. We find out later. But he dies! And the aftermath on the original team, and on McGann, and on Beast Boy is beautiful. That the depression that Garfield goes through in this entire season, like, he's just boom out. He's just out of everything and can't handle life and is, like, getting addicted to, like, drugs to help him sleep, and just I love it. Which just sounds horrible, but I love when my favorite characters go through pain. I sound so bad. And then McGann, we don't get to see a lot of her depression, because a lot of it is off camera happening while she's traveling back to Earth. We get a few scenes of it, which are also perfect. And her sister trying to help her feel better, and because her sister comes back to Earth, it's just, it's so great. It's so great. I also love that her sister takes on the form of the best friend from the show Hello Megan, which is where McGann gets her, like, human-esque form. Humanoid form. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. It's, I love everything on Mars, and all of the magical lore, and, like, the Chaos Lords and the Lords of Order, and all of that, and then Zatanna, teaching her proteges, And one of them being Billy's, well, in the movie Shazam, it's his foster sister, but I don't remember exactly what the connection is in this. But like Mary, who is, oh gosh, is, I think her superhero form is Sergeant. And then her not being able to say the name because she got so attached to the hero side of her that she wanted to stay in that form constantly and wouldn't be Mary, but her connection with that power, allowing her to use magic by connecting to the ley lines. And all of Zatanna's little proteges had such cool abilities, because then we had Jinx. I think that's what her hero name was. They didn't say it too often, but Jinx. And then we have, I don't know the guy's name. But he was just a very interesting character and was just this very cool, very grounded magic user. And Jinx is very kind of flighty and a little accident prone and distractible. And then we have Mary, who's just overambitious. And they built characters. They actually built characters. And it was great. They actually built the characters. The character work was so much better in this one. Oh man, it was so good. I loved all of the lore. And then we have the kill Clarion and get a new Chaos Lord called the Child, who is horrifying. And her familiar is just like this golem made of crystal, and it's so good. And she just is ruthless, and I love it. I love it. And then they have to team up with Clarion, who is now like a disembodied being and has to like possess a bus. And they have to actually help him because he is the lesser of two evils. Oh, it's so good. I love it. And through that arc, we find out that Superboy didn't die. He got transported to the Phantom Zone, which I'm so glad they've explained how that happened at the end, because for the entire time until the finale, I was like, well, how the heck did he get to the Phantom Zone? But they explained it, and it was okay. I'm glad they explained it. But, and then him in the Phantom Zone, trying to survive, and the whole, like, Phantom Zone sickness, so he gets, like, false memories thinking he has actually killed Superman, and that he's a monster, and that he, and reverting to his, like, base settings, it was good. It was good. I skipped over some of my favorite episodes. We have the entire arc where Artemis is trying to track down Artemis and bring her home to be with I don't remember what Red Arrow changes his name to. Because he changes it because he's like, not the... Oh, now I'm blanking on what Speedy's name is. Crap. Anyway, if you know any of those clones, whatever's names, put them in the comments, because I'm blanking on them right now, which makes me so mad. But Artemis is trying to bring him back to him and their daughter. And it is the best. It brings in Orphan, who is like, I forgot to talk about this when I was talking about season 3. My favorite characters in the entirety of season 3 were Orphan, Spoiler, Arrowette, and Robin. Tim Drake Robin. Because I love their little quartet of characters. They got very minimal screen time, but they were awesome, and I loved their characters. And I forgot, there are 4 plot lines happening, because on top of all the other stuff that they did in season 3, they also had the Justice League split over government regulations that were being put on them, and they split so some of them can work outside the law and the rest of them were working inside the law, and they have that happening, which never really got explained or resolved, really. It was a thing, and then they got told off by Black Canary at the end of it, and I think they all went back together into one Justice League. I don't know. Anyway, So those four were great. And so then we get an entire arc focusing on Orphan and her backstory and because more League of Assassins, or League of Shadows, whatever it's called in Young Justice, I'm pretty sure it's called League of Shadows in this. Anyway, I love Orphan. I love her backstory. I love that we got to see a little more of Deathstroke. I love that we got to see Lady Shiva and in all her glory. It was so great. And that's when we got the backstory for how Barbara got paralyzed, because we're going into the backstory of Orphan. And I love that she's mute, because it just... I love Orphan so much. And yes, that's not even the best part of the episode. It's not even getting to the best part. The best part is at the end, when they bring Cheshire and Orphan to Ra's al Ghul to, like, be rehabilitated, basically. And we see freaking Jason Todd. It's so good. And we also see Talia al Ghul holding Damien. Oh, that one scene where we... Oh, I love it so much. Jason says one line, one word actually. He says one word that gives away that it's him. Oh, and I am sure collectively the entire fandom just flipped out because it was so good. Oh, it was so great. Oh, man. Oh, I loved it so much. Oh, man. Yep. Moving on, because oh man, I loved all of this, all of it. And then we have the 4 episodes, the one arc that was unnecessary, uncalled for, and I didn't like. It wasn't good. We go back to Atlantis. Nothing has, in the entire season thus far, has at all referenced Atlantis or anything happening in Atlantis. So it's completely separate from all the plot lines happening. It didn't need to exist. And it's confusing because Ocean Master comes back, or a clone of Ocean Master. I have no idea. I don't know how or where he came from. And they don't exactly explain it. Besides, in a memory, we see that he's in a cloning pod, but there's someone across from him, but we don't know if that's the real Ocean Master or if it's a clone of Ocean Master, because Ocean Master got decapitated in season 3. No idea how he came to exist. And on top of that, not only to have more of the gay Aqualad, whatever his significant other's name is, which I just don't like. His significant other as a character. I don't like them together, and I just don't like anything about their relationship. We also have Lagoon Boy back, who I wasn't the biggest fan of in the first place in season 2, but we get him back, and he has a wife, a pregnant wife, and a husband. Why? What possesses you? Creators of Young Justice, what possesses you to put polygamy in a children's show? It was quite literally the most nauseating thing I have ever seen on screen. And this is coming from the girl who at like 16, 17 years old watched the entirety of Gone Girl with her father. Who watched Hacksaw Ridge without flinching. And Starship Troopers, and these gory movies, and this horrible movie, and none of those made me want to vomit, as much as the polygamy of Lagoon Boy and his family. On top of that, the wife is pregnant. Whose child is it? That is all I could think of whenever she came on screen, is who the heck is the father? They probably won't know. They won't know. It was horrifying and disgusting, and I hated it. And the entire arc had nothing to do with anything that was happening. It didn't have to exist. There was no reason for it to exist. But it does. And it makes me mad. So yes, I hated everything about that arc. Like there were no good decisions made in that arc. Anyway, moving on. Before I go into another rant about that, the whole ending, which was there are 4 episodes after those atrocities, and we get more of the Phantom Zone, and we get Zod and Zod's son from the future, because there's time travel in this one. There's time travel, and it's okay. I'm fine with it. It's like just late because they reference it throughout the entire series. Season. They reference it throughout the entire season, that it's a thing, that there are people from the future here, that they're trying, it's like they hint at what they're trying to do. So it's fine because it's not out of the blue. So General Zod's son is trying to break him out of the Phantom Zone to change their future. And it's cool, and we get to see their attempts at it. They're almost successes. They almost get Connor out. Well, actually, ish, yeah. And then the finale. They go into the Phantom Zone to try and get Connor. And he doesn't remember them because of Phantom Zone sickness, so he's attacking them. And all the fun stuff. And then they manage to get out of the Phantom Zone, and all of his injuries hit him now, because in the Phantom Zone they stay the same. They're just in the same state. And for as long as they're in there. So he finally comes out, and he becomes like a substantial being again, and all of these injuries come in, so he's just burnt to a crisp, has massive cuts from the Phantom Zone monster, whatever that was called from the Phantom Zone, and he's just straight up dying because they brought him to a planet with a red sun to try and stop Zod and his wife. But obviously that doesn't work. And they get to the Fortress of Solitude, and Zod's wife becomes the Emerald Empress, or whatever her name is. So now she's got like magic on top of the powers that they get from a yellow sun. And they almost kill Superman. And they have to stop Zod, and they have to make Connor remember. And then Connor and McGann finally get married. Oh, man. I really liked season 4. except for the nightmare that was the Atlantis arc. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Outsiders and Phantoms. Feel free to put your own thoughts in the comments and nerd out about them and the things you liked and didn't like. Season 3. It needed kind of an overhaul to like have worked well. They had so many interesting ideas, but they didn't get them all to mesh. And so it was just chaos. Choppy, poorly written chaos. Which makes me really sad because, yeah, all the good ideas, it had the potential to have been a good season. But it wasn't. And then, budget, better writing, better character development. We got season 4, which it's a beautiful season. It is a beautiful season, and I love it. All of the lore, the better character development, all of the Easter eggs and the things and the references and the cameos and and they gave us loose ends in season 4, like good loose ends. We got all of these loose ends in season 3 that never got tied up and that were bad because it's like, no, this needs to be explained, this needs to be resolved. But in season 4, we got like a few little loose ends that were like done well, like could lead into a season 5. Because we got Jason who's starting to remember. And then we have Mary, who then because of a mission feels betrayed by Zatanna, so she leaves and she becomes Sergeant again because she feels betrayed and powerless. And so we have these 2 loose ends that could lead into really cool plot lines for season 5. But there's talk that there's not going to be a season 5, and that makes me a little sad because I want to see Jason. I want more Jason on the screen. I want them to explain how he dies because they don't get that in season 2. He's dead and they assume everyone knows why. Which I know why now. I know how this happens, but it'd still be cool to see it and have it explained and have them dealing with him coming back and becoming Red Hood and Nightwing figuring out and be like, what? Yeah, his reaction to all this and trying to get him to become a hero again. Or however, it's like I've watched so many different shows that have different versions of characters. It's like, anyway, however they would do that, it would be so cool. And seeing like Sergeant as a villain and them having like potentially fight her and try and reason with her and bring her back to the light and say it's like we need Mary back. It's like trying to explain things to her. Oh, it'd be so good. As long as it's done well. There's potential for such a great season 5, but unfortunately we may never get it. I guess that is where the fanfic writers come in. Anyway, yeah. Those are my thoughts on those seasons. Drop yours in the comments. Put suggestions in the comments. Because, I always need more things to talk about. But yeah. I'll see you next time.